Okay, so here's an often overlooked one. This is a quote. What must in the end be given up is the fantasy of this hoped for mother. Author and psychotherapist Lindsay Gibson nails it when she writes, not realizing the magnitude of their parents' developmental limitations, many children of emotionally immature people think there must be a genuine, fully developed person hiding inside the parent, a real self they could connect to if only the parent would let them. Uh, and the other side of that, and a very big part of this, is that when we were young, we developed our worldview around qualifying them as a real person. So anything that they told us or hit us with emotionally, if we, whenever we weren't exactly the way they needed to be to feel okay, uh, essentially parenting them, of course, but to make them still have that, oh, they're okay, we made ourselves the problem, and that's the pattern that we stuck with, is that we had something, we had to be disingenuous, we had to lie and like cover up parts of ourselves to keep them happy, to keep everything flowing, because that's what a kid needs. We depend on our parents. We get chemical, that's nature, that's evolution. We get chemicals that make us happy when our parents happy with us. Um, and in order to get those chemicals that we normally should have gotten from emotionally mature parents, well, when they had parents that were the same, in whatever certain respects, it rolls downhill. And yeah, so. Oh, she goes on to say, oh, how we want that intact, warm, available, responsible, attuned person to exist. And there may be just enough moments of responsiveness to keep the fantasy going, despite the vast majority of our experience to the contrary. It's so true, they're not always assholes in whatever way or whatever word you want to, like, emotionally immature. They're not always dysregulated. There are plenty of good times. So it's very easy to fulfill this notion that they cursed us with, that they were okay and we were the problem. We're like, oh yeah, they're very loving. They do all this nice stuff for me. My mom, she did it. She took care of a lot of stuff for us, but it was done quickly and just to get it done. And she didn't appreciate us during it. She was just doing it like checking off a list. Uh, Later found out she was just worried about going to jail for neglect. She didn't expect connection. She didn't even know what it looks like to hang out with your kids. And I suspect my dad had a lot of the same thing. Uh, they're very like emotionally shelled in, and so we got no love, and we didn't love ourselves because there goes the pattern. We made it make sense. So we deep down inherited this idea that we were unlovable, when really it was just crappy parenting styles and patterns rolling down. So it's kind of awesome to realize that, all these things that you thought, like, you can go through life just thinking you suck, and it turns out, no, just certain parenting style aspects of their parenting style sucked. But ultimately, grieving is coming to terms with what is. Grieving is the only way to complete these circuits of these like shame patterns that you feel like, oh, I wasn't good enough in one way or another. I have to be this way. I have to do that. I have to think this certain way. The conditioning. Grieving is the only way to complete that circuit, which can involve angering as well. It's basically those are both words for appreciating and fully grasping what you were shortchanged on, and how you were, uh, how they skewed your worldview, basically. So grieving is like your saving grace, now that they kind of already cursed you with that. But ultimately, grieving is coming to terms with what is, even if it at first seems something we can't survive. This is why depression, our effective response to this loss, usually comes before acceptance. You can't really fully accept it until you can, until you give it its due, pretty much. They cursed you with that. You have to honor that, the fact that it happened. If you're busy denying it, like I like to say, you can't solve a math problem you can't bring yourself to look at, even. So, and even if you're looking at it with certain colored glasses of, this is unacceptable, you're still not seeing it. You're just seeing it through a tunnel vision, a filter. Our effective response usually comes before acceptance. we feel our heart break, and if that is held with compassion and we have support, we eventually come to peace. Support meaning also from others, supporting yourself, basically a feeling of safety in the now, you know? Back then there wasn't safety, and so the pattern, you can carry that on because you just go with what you know. So, yeah, safety in the now reminds you and your body and everything that you don't need that pattern now. So